What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm pretty excited because I love doing this car stuff. And in today's video, we are going to do a autocross comparison of my MR2 and my brother's Miata. So we're going to start off with just a little walk around of each car, just so you know what we're working with here. Well, here we have my 93 MR2. It's literally bone stock, as I've said a million times if you've watched other videos, besides those rims. So I have a mismatched set of tires on there. In the back, it's 245s. And those are R888s. In the back, it's a 215, and those are Falcon Azenas. Now we have Jesus' car over here, which is a Mazda Miata M-Edition. It's a 96. 95. Yeah. Thank you. The only difference, or the only thing aftermarkets, are the wheels. And then it also has coilovers. But the cool thing is, because it's an M-Edition, it has a limited slip in the back. For those who don't know, the person who corrected me on the year of the car is my brother Jesus, and obviously, huge shout out to him for letting me drive his car. One thing before we get too far into this, I want to talk about, and that is time. The point of this video is not to see which car is necessarily faster. I don't feel like that's fair, mainly because I got super sticky tires and he doesn't. That makes a drastic difference. Now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to show you guys a clip of my car at the Autocross event, followed by a clip of Jesus' Miata at that same event, so you guys can get a back-to-back feeling of how each car acted, and then we'll talk about it. We'll start off by talking about the MR2. So overall, it did really good suspension-wise. So the course was really bumpy due to elevation changes in the, more than anything, the drainage system and the way it's set up. And it soaked up the bumps really well, didn't get too upset on the corners. Even the off-camber corners were really manageable. The back end actually did really good at rotating just enough. People always talk about how snappy these cars are, and that's typically not an issue as long as you're driving it well. And I'm not trying to hark people who've spun them out or anything like that. It's just more of whenever these cars spin out, 99% of the time it's driver error. And I can attest to that because I've spun my car out a bajillion times, and it's always been my fault. Now, in comparison, the Miata was super, super twitchy, and I could tell it did not really like the course. I felt like I was constantly fighting the car to keep it going where I wanted it to go. And I think a lot of that has to do with actually the suspension. As we mentioned earlier, the car does have coilovers. It's 10K springs in the front and 8K in the back. That just made it really, really tail happy. When you mix that with the fact that it had all seasons, it was not very confidence inspiring at all. If anything, I'm really surprised I didn't spin that car out at all. There is the other side of that coin. I actually think the issues with the Miata can easily be changed by putting a front sway bar on and then some stickier tires. That would help a lot, along with fine tuning the suspension, of course. Other thing I wanted to touch on is the steering inputs. So I did mention the car felt twitchy, and I do think when it comes to the Miata, the steering ratio is so much faster, which is something that I wasn't used to. But I actually do think for Autocross, that's a really good thing. Because in this car, I really have to crank the wheel to get anywhere. And when you're in those tight slaloms like you have to do in Autocross, or even the tight hairpins turns, it really slows you down because you have to work way harder than you really should. So the steering definitely has to go to the Miata. But I think the power goes to the MR2. So both of them make really similar power. I think it's around 120, 130 from both cars. But the torque, that makes the huge difference. On this car, it's really from like down low to the midsection, you really feel the grunt. In the Miata, it's really up top. So I feel like in the Miata, it's super or a lot more important to make sure that you're in that power range versus this car where you can lug it around. In the given course that we were on, obviously it was a lot faster, higher speed stuff. So it didn't really matter too much. But I do feel that if we were in a really tight technical course, I mean, Autocross is always tight technical, but more tight technical than it was, I would have to be shifting gears and really going down to first in the Miata versus this one where I could just lug it around. Overall, this is a really hard one for me, guys, because subjectively, I'm always going to pick an MR2. I absolutely love these cars, and they're always going to have a deep place in my heart. But objectively, I see the appeal of the Miata. There's so much aftermarket support. And like I said, with the Isuzu's car, it'd be really easy to make that faster. Front sway bar, some sticky tires, and then some nice aggressive brake pads that are good at, that are meant for autocrossing. So good from a cold start. And that thing would be a complete animal. So in this comparison, I'm definitely going to pick the MR2. I don't think that really means much coming from me because of the things I just said. If you guys have any like really specific questions, you can leave them down in the comments below, and I'm more than willing to answer them because obviously this was just a general overview. In addition to that, if you've had experience autocrossing both cars, I'd love to hear that in the comment section below as well. Until then, see you guys in the next video.